Hello, hello, everyone. And oh my goodness, this is going to be another and a unique sacred conversation with Linn Purden. I've known Linn for quite a while through Facebook, and I'm loving the fact that we can have connection through Zoom, Facebook, and even though we can't see each other physically, to have a beautiful hug. So welcome, Linn. And I wanted to what I love about Linn, we're having a bit of a chat beforehand and a giggle about telepathy and all sorts of things. And what does she call herself? And at the moment, we're going to say vibrational specialist. And then we're going to tell you what that actually means. So before I get started, I'm going to introduce you to Linn through her bio. Now, Linn has this amazing capacity, and I've experienced her work of being able to work with vibration and telepathy as a child. And she found it very difficult to be in this world or of this world because of the way she thought from a young child. But as a child, with her ability to be able to do this, she was made to feel evil. So for years and years, what she did was she hid this, secretly studying the way people hold their energetic system. And what I'm delighted about is that finally, over the last while, she's actually decided to become visible. And here she is. Welcome, Linn.
Hello, and thank you. It's great to be here.
Pleasure, pleasure. Let's talk. We had so many different things to talk about, and we decided, everyone, and this is again about listening to your vibration, your intuition, and going within. We decided we'd just trust our guides as well. We've got a bit of an idea of what we want to talk about, because this is part of life, is being in flow and trusting. So what we came up with, we wanted to talk about, because this is her work she does, meant to be a unique person, and she wants to offer you a safe space to land so that you get to know what your uniqueness is and how to thrive. Okay. So it's recognizing vibrational pull versus cultural stories. Linn, please expand on that.
Okay. It's a bit like having an essay assignment, isn't it?
Listen, look at where you went to that child.
So let me go back right to the very beginning. And as a very, very young child, I have vivid memories of seeing everything as streams of energy and being able to communicate instantly and being very expansive, and so that the physical body didn't feel like a container. It felt more like a moving costume, very flowy moving costume. And it took me a while to recognize that, one, I needed to use words. I felt absolutely astounded that I needed to use words. It felt like going back to chiseling my message in stone. I just thought, what? Where have I come to? And when I started to use the words and explain that this is what my world looked like, my mom told me that made me evil and demon possessed. And so, not surprisingly, I just thought, well, obviously that's wrong. I'm not supposed to have this or be this and do this. Now, I couldn't shut it down. So what I did was pretend. I just imagined and pretended that I couldn't do it. But of course, it did keep going. And there's another really vivid memory of going to kindergarten and not understanding what the heck was going on. Why there were all these little children away from their families with this one adult. And of course, remember, I'm watching the energy of all what's going on here, who wasn't that happy to be there herself. And I was just astounded watching this. And yet I'd had the message by then that being able to do what I was doing was wrong. So I spent the rest of my childhood and well into my adulthood watching what people did with their energy. And then I would literally take the imprint of what they were doing and transfer it onto my own energy and live within it for periods of time. Sometimes it would be days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. And so that I literally got to a point where I had no idea who I actually was anymore, because I wasn't there. I was just taking on everybody else's energy system in this desperate attempt to try and be normal and not demon possessed and not evil. Now, obviously, that was a pretty tough thing to do. And I did become extremely unwell as a result of not having enough energy moving through my own body. So I wouldn't recommend it as a bath for anybody. However, there is an upside. And the upside is that I spent so many years studying people's energetic systems and what they did with them, and really experiencing what energy, what it looked like and what it felt like and what it did to a physical body energy system when someone was depressed or angry or sad or feeling really powerful or joyful or happy. And eventually, I mean, to cut a long story very, very short, I eventually, to heal, came back to embracing this and very quietly claimed it back and started talking about it piece by piece by piece, to the point now where I am really, really convinced that we all come and take on what I call a bodysuit. That's what I call this thing that we're walking around in. So that we can shine our unique, what I call inner brilliance, which is just an energetic blueprint, but it's unique. We intend a unique design when we take on this suit. Sadly, usually, particularly in our culture, we don't get to live within that unimpeded for that long. What tends to happen is that from pretty young, anywhere from about 6 months on, we start to get told how we should be and what we need to be in order to fit in whatever culture it is that we happen to be in and whatever time we happen to be living in, because it's arbitrary. It changes all the time. And so what it looks like to me is that when we design our uniqueness, it's like having this huge golden shower head full of golden flowing divine energetic light, and we're standing right underneath it and we're getting the full force of that moving through us. This is what I was experiencing as a young child, and I didn't have the limitations because I was expanded within this. So the body felt like this flowing, organic, moving, beautiful structure, not this tight, rigid thing that it can become. Then what happens is that as we start to listen, which of course this is normal, I'm not trying to judge anyone or make anything wrong, this is just the times that we live in, I hope it changes, that we start to need to sit still or not be so loud, or we're told point blank, that's wrong, you need to go this way, just as it was for me. You know, you can't talk about that, you can't do it that way, it's wrong. And then what energetically it looks like to me is it's like instead of being able to be right under that full shower head, we start to sort of twist parts of us out in order to fit into whatever story it is that we're being told. And sadly, if we do that long enough, there's lots of things that then happen. Some of them can be showing up in the body. But another is that we forget or temporarily forget, because I think we always can remember what our uniqueness, what that design, that intention, that focus we came in with was all about, because we've got we're so out of the twist of the shower head.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I could just see it. I could feel it. So thank you. Beautiful. And I think two things that came up as you're talking, number one, like you said, it's what we've been told. My immediate, because this is also my experience, trauma can also, or something that's changed you, something powerful can take you off there as well. So again, how do you come back? And that's what we were talking about before we came on. Number two, what I'm hearing also, and I'm loving, is you finally realize they use this word superpower. Now, whether we want to use that word in this context, but it's lovely that you are finding that you were ridiculed about, or like evil, particularly because you said you had a Catholic upbringing, which by the way I did too, so all of this was, you know, no, has you've been able to transform that. And I know my experience when I became a Reiki master years ago now, I was always aware of my sensitivity, being hypersensitive, because like you, I could tune in due to my childhood experience. Like you, I could tune in, expressed it differently. This is why it's beautiful to talk, because it's unique. But like you, I could tune in, but I was called over emotional. I was, all that sort of stuff. So you shut down until she said to me, why don't we turn that around, reframe? This is why, again, coming back to your work, vibrational specialist, she changed my mindset, but also I like it, vibrational way of actually going, this is why I'm so good at what I do. But then I don't know about you, this is what I think we're talking about, then how do you step into that to own it and then fully live it with that beautiful, as you said, golden shower of water,
Totally. Well, there's some really good news about this, is that in the process of intending and focusing our energy into that particular unique design, it's like that. I often refer to it like a rubber band, if you can imagine that. And so, yes, we twist out, and yes, we twist out, and it could take us many, many years, maybe decades, before we think, I don't, and often we hear of the midlife crisis, don't we? And to me, that's what this is about. We get to that point where we have lived the cultural stories to the letter, and they haven't provided the promised reward. And so then we start questioning. And when we do that questioning and we start to play with the belief systems that have had us, the stories that have had us moving out, it doesn't take as long to come back into that, under that shower head, as it did for us to get out, because we've got that rubber band holding us. So what happens is that as we start to build that momentum coming back towards the shower, if you can imagine that most of our life, what we've been doing is pulling that rubber band up. And then we have the aha, and we start to move the momentum back this way. There is a natural elasticity that is going to help us come back. So if we can get some of that momentum going, there's a buoyancy effect that takes over and helps us get back quicker for us. And then the other thing too is, it's sort of not like a one-time event, It's sort of, I often refer to it as building an alignment muscle,
Yeah.
Because we will find ourselves pulling that rubber band out again, but we'll be more aware of it this time. And then as we are aware of it, and there's so many different techniques and tools and things that you can use to bring yourself back into that space under that shower head again. And then naturally you'll come out again. The aim is not necessarily to always be under that shower head constantly, because, hey, it's life and there's lots of other things to have a look at and to decide whether you want or not. But it's doing this rather than this, And I think the other key part to this is understanding what is actually happening vibrationally under this, so that you have an awareness and a choice in where in this you stand. I think that's the thrilling part of it, when you understand, because often when you've been out here long enough, there'll be occasions where things happen that you won't quite understand, where you find yourself back under the full shower head, and it's just wonderful, but you have no idea how you got there. And when you have no idea how you've got there, you have no idea how to get back, because inevitably life will have you focused back up here again. So that to me is the true gift, is the knowing and the understanding of how to keep coming back to your true uniqueness and how to honor that.
Oh gosh, so many things were going through my mind as you're saying, as listening to you. I love it, because I think, again, it's your vibration, your uniqueness, you own it. And that's what I'm hearing. And that's what's been powerful for me for the last few years, is what is it about me that I love? Like coming back into that vibration, what I had the image of that. And now, again, this is how I would also work with it. So again, this is that uniqueness that you're offering us, because each of us needs to find what works for us. And that's why it can be exciting, because we've been so used to being told what to do. It can actually be scary at first to go, you mean what? You mean, I was taught years ago when I was going through what we call here in Perth, Hollyoak, around understanding alcoholism in the family. And I went through a program as the child of, and he said, now go out and have an ice cream, choose an ice cream. And I sat there and I thought, I didn't know what ice cream I liked. That stayed with me for 40 years. I didn't know and that actually could allow to go and choose my own ice cream. So again, this is like choosing your own vibration. and I've gone completely off track. So whatever I was meant to say, I have no idea. But no, I think coming back, that's right. It's about coming back into that, because you know you can go there, stay there, it's safe, it's yours. So then you can go out positively. But if you go out and something happens, as you said, you can come back and you make it your own. So for me, because you know me, Lynn, with colors, everyone, I love colors. Those who watch other things, I always go, I would have perhaps, instead of perhaps gold, even though I get that, but sprinkled in, I'd have pink, hot pink and turquoise, and, you know, I'd have all these other colors because they're what I like, you know.
Absolutely. Oh, totally. I think that this is such an important message for me to give to the world, is that you are meant to be unique.
Yes.
We designed it that you were unique. We come into a culture that tells us otherwise. And one of the great delights for me is to watch what happens for someone as I help them to remember. And truly what I do is, most of it is energetic. I hop into the energy and I'm able to hold it like a tone, because as much as I can see energy, I can hear it as well. So I can hear that tone that is just perfect for their unique inner brilliance. And so I can hold that space, and just with gentle guidance, I can see and I hear when they click in. It's like a sound. And I can see their whole face changes. They lose so many years, you know, like they suddenly look 20 years younger, and there's a vibrancy that suddenly fills their being, and every cell lights up. It's like looking at LED Christmas lights, you know,
Yes.
and they go, the whole system lights up. And so it's totally a case of the person remembering, not me imposing anything at all, because, you know, my uniqueness is my uniqueness, and part of that enables me to do this. But whoever I am with has their own version of magic and special energetic gifts to give to themselves and to the world.
Oh, and I love that. And what also came to mind is that I, or whoever's meant to be, is attracted to that energy and what you do. So that was the first step, because that they like that and what they're hearing, even they might not get it. Doesn't matter. Again, it's learning to trust that. But what I'm loving is, so I'll come to you for that. Then you take me to here. You know, and that's beautiful, because ultimately it's your energy we're going to be attracted, your uniqueness, and go, oh, I want some of that, but I don't know what it is. And it might initially feel, I want what she has, because that, but then you open them up to go, yes, you want what I have, but in your own way.
Absolutely. Always in your own way. Always embracing that. Always coming back and honoring it. And it's a constant evolution of that. And I often say to my clients and students that I have to put my hand up here too. I mean, if we remember my history, for most of it, I was working against this. I was doing it to myself. You know, I was really doing it to help, to wanting me to fit in. I hated this ability. I just saw it as a curse, because it had been sold to me as this thing that could harm people, which is just abhorrent to me to think. I would never, ever, ever consciously want to do that to anybody. And so it's a constant evolution, a constant expansion. And one of the great delights for me has been discovering and really understanding that when we line up under that shower head, that we by default come into the spectrum of vibration that is humming at the tone of things like joy and play and wonder and love and delight. And of course, if we go back to our baby, that's exactly where they're at. They express that, they vibrate from that place just so instinctively. And so that when we are in that space, whatever we do from that point, whatever it may be, even spending money actually creates more. So if you give energy from that place, if you give your time from that place, if you give money from that place, you do whatever from that place, it doesn't deplete you or the universe. It does the reverse. It regenerates you, because it's not you, the physical coat, doing it. It's the entire universal energy moving through you doing it. And in that action, the universe expands. So there's more for you and more for everybody else. And that thrills me, because that whole old-fashioned pie theory that there's only so much to go around of whatever, money, time, love, whatever, you fill in the blank, we can see it clearly as just an old story that we can park, just leave to the side. And it changes everything when we recognize that and when we come from that.
I like, as you said, changing your vibrations, because I can feel it just talking with you now. I'm feeling something shifting in me already, going clunk, 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 because it's really helping me understand. Because for years, when I did my Reiki training, 30 years ago now, what I loved about the training, so this is what you're saying too, is that harm is you receive energy too, comes through you. And it's always pure love. So anything negative happens, it'll switch off. And I had that experience when Mum and I, unfortunately, were talking about someone negatively, and she was raking me as we were driving to keep me going, and the energy switched off. So coming back to what you're saying, that the energy comes through us, it's pure, I call the word pure, it's love, and it expands. As you said, it goes like this. And you can't, well, you can try, but I know with Reiki, I presume this with you, and I'd like you to talk about this, is Reiki, I do believe the energy switches off, and I presume that you would vibrate. It just doesn't allow it to happen. Have you had anything like that happen?
I would probably describe it slightly differently. So if we come back to the shower head again, if we're in that spectrum that I was talking about, the love, the delight and the wonder and the joy, then imagine then that the pipeline that you've got to allow this to come through is immense. And so it's unencumbered, so it's just flowing so freely. Now, if we shift out of that spectrum of vibration, automatically what happens is there's a contracting that happens. And so the vessel for that energy to move through is smaller or tighter. And often when I was trying on people's energies way back, the someone that was in fear or in hate, it was like so there was not much room to move. And so you're not getting a lot of energy flow coming through. So that is how I would describe that.
And I love it. Thank you, because it's just opening us up to our unique ways of doing it, but also learning different understanding. I love what you've just explained, because for me, it just adds to what I'm feeling, because it does make sense, because I felt we did contract. In fact, the energy did contract. That's right. And in fact, in this case, it switched off, because we're not going to put this back out into the universe. Mum and I were like, oh, this is it. It's also a good learning lesson to have that early on, to actually understand that. We've got a few more minutes, but I wanted to come back. So I was looking at my notes, and because we are also talking to women in business, or even women in career, or anyone in careers, you talk about having your vibrational biz team. I like this. And you also have practices you put in the morning. So for the last few moments, would you be willing to share? You shared to me, you talk to your energy, right? But you have either you're going to go down the red carpet, or you're going to go down the rusty mat. Please explain.
Well, this is normal for me. It's taken quite some time for me to recognize, to talk about these things, because it's just the world I live in. But I have noticed that people really enjoy it when I describe what my life looks like. And I'm aware that when I am in that half wake, half sleep in the morning, I am very much in the vibration more than the flesh. And it's just a wondrous time where I chat to all of now I call them energetic beings. You can call them whatever is right for you. Some people would call them angels or guides or guardians or whatever. The name just doesn't matter. But for me, I see them as energetic beings. Energetic matrix is probably more accurate as to what I see them as. And so I'm telepathically communicating with them and hanging out, like hanging out with my tribe. And then I've become really aware that when I get out of bed and put my feet on the ground, I can make a choice there. It can be this glorious red carpet, and I can put my feet under the ground and meet the day in my full expanded energy self, or I can choose to hop my feet down on the rusty nail mat and go, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, this is no good. Oh, I'm no good. This nothing good's going to happen. And that image for me is just delightful because it makes me smile and instantly lightens anything that is coming along. And the other, I mean, there's so many things you can do with that, but one of them is to spend a few moments seeing everything you have planned for the day on the red carpet. See it a bit like the yellow brick road, since you've got the red carpet going out, so that everything flows beautifully, and the person that you need to speak to is just there when you need them, and the phone rings just at the perfect time, and the piece of information you need just is there, and you can, we can have a red carpet experience every day. Yeah.
Thank you. And I love that, because I think also if something then doesn't go to plan, you can still, then how to support yourself, how to, come back into that vibration. Okay, I went off the red carpet for a moment, but I can come back. So now, then it doesn't feel so overwhelming, does it?
Yeah.
And you can do it. What a beautiful way to end. Oh my God. I say this with all my conversations. I could just keep going and going and going. So, oh my gosh, Linn, thank you. I appreciate you sharing that morning one, because like you said, so anyone who's listening, remember, these are ideas and it gets you to think, oh, I resonate. So I resonate with that, but I know I would make it my own. So just play with it. Like you said, play, have fun. Put any comments in here. Once it goes, we are happy to then share. I will eventually put the in descriptions, I will be putting in how to contact Linn. But Linn, just mention briefly as we end how they can contact you, and what last thing would you like to end with?
Very easy to contact me. Go to linnpurden.com. Okay. I'm also on Facebook, Linn Purden, so you will find that really easily. And what shall I end on? I would just like to reiterate that claim your uniqueness. And I want to give you this beautiful message that everybody's inner brilliance is exquisite, absolutely exquisite. When I connect in, it's just, there are times, and there are times when I linger in the connection with someone's inner brilliance, because it is just such an exquisite experience for me to be inner brilliance to inner brilliance with someone. I believe that as a species, we are evolving, and we will begin to do that normally. So we won't be operating and relating to the person based on their gender or their skin color or their job title or whatever it is. We will be instantly connecting inner brilliance to inner brilliance. And that is what I wish for the world.
Thank you, Linn. And I just feel, yes, connecting with inner brilliance to inner brilliance. Beautiful. Just going to take a moment to really allow that to sink in. It's beautiful. Thank you, Linn. Thank you for sharing this beautiful journey and giving people just knowing you too can be uniquely brilliant. Linn, I've made notes remembering who you are. Thank you. Namaste.
My pleasure.
Thank you for everyone for watching. Have a beautiful rest of the day, evening, wherever you are.